Hello,
We're
hello
live.
everyone.
We're
We are
live.
live. This is not a drill. This is happening. So hello, I'm Paul. Paul Woodley from LeanJS, and this guy next to me is go on, Horacio.
I'm Horacio. I'm also work for LeanJS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
boy. So yeah, he's in Barcelona. I'm in London, and we are going to do something today that's going to knock your socks off, or just see a designer fail. I know.
Come on.
So
We are positive.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. It's all good. So basically, so I'm a UX designer at LeanJS. Well, UX product, all fun stuff like that. Horacio is also a designer, but a developer. I'd say more so than a designer in terms of what he does at LeanJS. Anyway, is that fair to say, Horacio?
Yep. Yeah,
Uh,
that's fair.
Also one of the one of the guys behind React.js Academy as well. So if you are wanting to get taught React, then Horacio, Alex, Rich, Ava, all the guys from React.js Academy are the people you
And
need to
girls,
speak to.
guys and girls now.
Guys and girls. Yeah, sorry, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that happens to me also. That's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
When I say guys, I mean everyone. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the way I think. That's the way. So anyway, what are we doing today? So we've got limited time, as everyone has, and we have a task. So the main thing that we're trying to do today. So we are currently creating a platform called UpMentoring. UpMentoring is basically for people like us, React.js Academy and LeanJS, to create courses. And also administrate them as best they can, because we haven't found a platform that does the things that we need to, so we are creating one. So in terms of what we're doing today, though, as you can probably tell from the title of the video, we are going to be installing Storybook onto onto the platform that we've done already. Reason for that is design systems. There we go. There's the reason. Basically to help. I mean, I'm doing a lot of implementation in terms of styled systems. We have another video for that, which if it's been published, I will pop a link somewhere. So I'm doing a lot of implementation and refactoring of old CSS into styled systems, and because we want to start as we mean to go on, we're going to install Storybook. So all the devs who are working on the site, on the platform, can work from a single source of truth, which is always what we like, and I can work from a single source of truth.
Yes. So actually, talking about that, before we get into the how to implement Storybook, I want to talk a little bit about the why. Why you need a tool like Storybook, a tool like Storybook, is to now we're in the process of actually creating our design system, our components with React and style components. So Storybook help us to develop or create those components in an isolated environment. So you are gonna make sure you can be certain that your components are gonna render the way that they need to be rendered, depending on the props that you're passing to that component, no matter where they are. So Storybook helps you to isolate your component, create different stories for your component, and pass different props and see if your component is reacting to properly to those props. So that's why we're gonna use it. That's why it's gonna be beneficial for Paul, because Paul is learning how to code, learning how to do React, and that will help him a lot to just get rid of all the tools that we're using in the actual application and just focus on the design part, focus on the UI. That is what we want him to be an expert soon.
Yeah.
Pretty soon. So,
I mean, it's yeah, this is really worth mentioning. At the end of the day, we are creating this design system it's the single source of the truth is everything. For any designer, going from Sketch and handing over Sketch files or you know, Zeppelin or, you know, images over to designer is just inefficient and unrealistic. If you expect it to look like that, then frankly you're deluded. It's not going to be that way, because it should be in browser. You should be seeing what you're actually doing in browser. You should know what the limitations are and stuff like that, because things like Sketch, Figma and whatnot, I mean, even things like FramerX are really just going to be showing you an image. So, you know, this is why I feel as though it's, and I know Horacio agrees with me, it's important for designers to be able to code to some degree, so they can actually see things actually change in the actual space that it's actually going to be in. A frequent thing that we both like to use is, if you're a graphic designer, you know paper stock. If you know paper stock, then you know how the ink's going to react. If you put the paper, if you do use different laminates or, you know, that stuff. So for a UX designer and UI designer, it's really important. So the reason for Storybook is the means that I can then see, at the moment, what's happening is that we've got a whole bunch of pages that we've created, but we're working lean. So we've only prioritized one specific user story within a job to be done. We've got high level jobs to be done on our Trello board, and then we've got user stories with each one. And each sprint, we're prioritizing a user story. This one is about discounts. So what's going on is that I can only do the discounts pages only has a small amount of all the elements that we're going to create for this whole platform. And because as a designer, I'm going through the styled systems and trying to make those different components, I don't see them all because they're not all on one page. So this is where Storybook comes in, because Storybook and other systems like it. I mean, I can't remember the other ones that we tried, Horacio. What were the ones?
DocX. We actually, I actually test Gatsby even. But yeah, I think we've been using Storybook for a while, and I think it works great. And it's a tool that we know, so that's what we're using.
Yeah, right. Okay, I think we've given a decent enough kind of overview of everything.
Good context. Good context.
So let us start. So
yeah. So do you want to show the steps, the steps file that we?
Yes. Let me just share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Right, so this is what we're going to be doing. Basically, we're going to create a new branch. Obviously, create a new branch to be able to actually do something. Don't want to do everything on master. Then we're going to install Storybook into our local system, into my local system, I suppose. Then install the peer dependencies, add the Storybook script, create config file for Storybook, so you know it actually works. And then create our first story, and then create the decorator, which basically adds in our theme that I've been working on from Style Systems. And then we run Storybook again to actually show you guys the, you know, the actual theme that we've got. So that's what we're going to do. So shall I get cracking? I suppose we can. I'll get rid of this.
Yeah.
And I will go over to
just go into the code.
Okay, so let's check out. See, I always get this bit wrong. It is that, isn't it? -B. I always just spend a lot of time on the branch to get how to do it.
Yeah, Git checkout is gonna help you change from one branch to another one. If you do Git checkout -B, is actually you're telling Git to create a new branch.
Right. Yeah. You do -B. It's like -M when you commit, isn't it?
Yeah.
You new message.
You don't need the quotes actually, and also,
okay.
If you are in master, please pull first.
I always forget.
We don't know if there's something, because we're a lot of people working on the same code base.
See, there we go.
Ah, nice. And now you can do Git checkout -B.
So
with that feature
Storybook.
Yeah, this is the name. You can use whatever name that you want. We follow this feature convention when we're creating new branches. So now we're in feature Storybook.
So now I generally push, and then it pushes it up the strip. Well, it says push, and then it will tell me to do this, and then at least it's.
You have the copy and paste. That's great.
I know there's other ways of doing it, but I just do it like that because it's the easiest to remember.
Nice.
Okay, cool. So So here we go. So we're on our branch. So the next thing to do, what have we got?
What is it? Steps.
So
First one done. Perfect.
So, oh no, it's so view only.
Oh.
Oh, Horacio, you don't
Yeah.
want me to edit. That hurts me.
I'm sorry. My bad.
No, it's all good. Okay, so next is yarn add story. So this is generally quite simple. Right. Okay. Installation for the nation. Okay.
No.
This is where I should have my guitar and have a little theme going on. But alas, I don't.
I'm making you an editor in this file.
Damn right.
There more, so copy can edit. Done. Now I think you can edit. If you reload, maybe? Yay!
Oh yeah. Okay. Come on. Okay, I'm gonna say that's done. Right, that one's done. So now we're on to this. This should be done by now. Oh, it's done. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's changed then?
Only we're just installing packages, so nothing in our code has been changed. We need to start implementing stuff, but I think you need to also add other things to the project. So you need to add some pure dependencies. These are things that Storybook uses in order to work. There's one like CLI command that you can run it and it will do automatically. But because we want the bare minimum things inside our project, that's why we're doing this by hand. So these are the minimum things that you need to install and set up in order to use Storybook in your existing project. So we need to add that line. So we're going to install Babel Core and Babel Loader as a dev dependency.
What's the difference between just a normal dependency and a dev dependency?
Yes. So if you go to the package JSON, you see there that you have a dependencies object, and then you have down there you should have a dev dependency.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So the dependencies are the ones that are going to be installed when you build when you have your in your CI or whatever. But when you're building your project, when you're compiling all the code, you need this dev dependencies installed. So that's the main.
Okay, couple of things you mentioned, and me not a developer by trade, I'm going to just ask you out that for anybody who's watching who doesn't know, CI and CLI is CI. That's continuous integration, isn't it?
Yes, sorry. CI is a continuous integration. That means that's an automation that you can add in your projects. Every time you pull something to your repository in GitHub or in Bitbucket or in whatever Git repository, in the remote Git repository, it will trigger something in the CI. Like usually it's a build. So you build the code, and CLI is command line interface. So this yarn commands that you're doing, yes. So those things are CLI, an interface. So it helps you to make things and create things in a simpler way. So yeah.
Anybody who doesn't know, you can use terminal for this. It's used, on Macs, and then obviously on here we got it as part of Visual Code. What's it called? Oh, is it Visual Studio Code? There we go. Right. So, sorry, they're probably basics that everybody already knows watching this, but thought I'd just cover it anyway. So that's been done. Now we need to add Storybook script. So, is this just straight into the terminal again?
No, that's into package JSON. So inside package JSON, you have a scripts object. up there. Yeah, it's line 32. Yeah, so you can add a comma, and these are just shortcuts for your. You can just paste, yeah, or paste that thing.
Oh, right. Okay, here we go.
So it's just shortcuts to some commands that you use in your project.
Okay.
So yeah, that's just a simpler way to run Storybook. So then with that, we need to add a config file to Storybook. So Storybook will always look for a file named .storybook in your root. So we need to create that.
And that's in here, isn't it?
Yeah, you create a folder, actually. Sorry, it's a folder.
Is it
.storybook? Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, I didn't do it. Never mind. Okay. Oh no, it's up here.
You have a .s. Yeah, .storybook. And then inside that folder, we can create a config.js file, I guess. Let me double check. Yes, config.js file. So here, we need to, this is where you set up where you are going to store your stories from your project. So if you go down this document.
Oh, look at this.
There's the config. There's the simplest config to make Storybook work, but this will look for every .stories.js file in your source directory. So usually, what you're gonna see in the documentation is that they're gonna look for all the stories in a stories folder from the root. But because we like to collocate things and put everything in there where they are being used, we like to put our stories just right where our components are. So that's why this is a pretty common config that just check all the files that follows that convention .stories.js. And import it to Storybook. So yeah, that's the simplest. Okay, you see that we're not using the add decorator that we're importing in line 1. We're gonna cover that later. We're doing this step by step. So if you save that, and then we can just do in the terminal, we can just do now yarn Storybook.
Okay, so I'm gonna do it in this one. So yarn Storybook.
Yeah, this will run the script that you added in the package.json. So you see that it's building the Storybook application, because this will render a new application in over there. So you see that we have a UI with no stories.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so this is telling us it's everything set up correctly. So now it's time to start to add our first story. So
cool.
Which component do you want to add first, Paul?
Well, I think the button is the easiest. Good place to start, isn't it?
So let's go to the button. So if you go to source,
there. Okay.
App components button. So as I said, we like to collocate files. So we're gonna create here a file named button.stories.js.
Is it oh no, because it's not component, is it? So do
just name it like it is with capital letters. Yeah, button.stories.js. And here's when we need to add our story. So if you go to the document, I think there's.
So this one here.
No, the Google Doc.
Oh right, yeah, sorry.
It's fine.
So that's done.
I think if you go scroll down, it's just a decorator. Okay, so we need to add our storybook. So let's just I'm gonna just tell you what to do. Okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So because I want Paul to practice. So, okay. So let me just bump here my code and I can see your screen. Okay, so you need to import React because we're going to render some components. Import React with capital R.
I always get them mixed up because it's not for the next one. So you do.
Yeah, because the package name is React with lower R, but the actual export is
a React component. So
actually you can name React however you want because it's a default export, but because it's a convention, like other libraries and other models that you're going to use, expect that to be React capital R. So, and then we need to import. It's a named import, so you need curly braces, and you can do stories off with camel case. Stories no with Y, off. There you go. And from add Storybook / React. Add with the email add.
Oh, at.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There it is.
Storybook. Yeah, you start typing, I think.
Ah, bloody hell. Stop being annoying.
Just start typing. There you go. Storybook React, close. And now you need to import the actual component that you want to add to your story. So it's import the button from source. Yeah, for some reason, if you're listening, we don't know why, but for some reason, if I'm using a relative path here, .button.js, that I would like to use that. For some reason, it doesn't work with Storybook and Create React App. If you know, let us know how to make it work. I think it's something related to the Webpack config, but I didn't manage to make it work. That's why we're using this import like absolute import way to get our components. So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, speaking as a complete newbie, I always find this super easier. It's tons easier. I don't have to think if I do that.
Also, another thing, Paul, you don't need the .js at the end.
Oh yes, but then if I save it, I mean, we've got the thing right.
Oh, we got pretty
code. Yeah.
So now we can run a function. So we can go and say stories off.
Right. Okay. So stories
off, and that's a function. So you need round brackets.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, round brackets, and then here you need to pass two things. First, you need to pass a string that is going to be the name of your story. So you can pass button.
Okay, so it's
this is going to be a string, button, and then after that a comma, and you need to pass a module. So just the name module.
Oh, okay.
Module.
Oh, module. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then after the round bracket, we need to add a story for that set of stories. So after the round bracket, you need to do .add. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna paste that in the document. I'm gonna.
Because you're a nice guy. You're a nice guy.
Yes, I'm just gonna do it because, you know. So here, and no colors, and
okay.
There you go. I don't. You can see it now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So you see that we are creating these stories off. We're creating a set of stories, and we're adding our first story from that .add. So we're just saying we're gonna render our primary button. So that primary button is gonna be a function that's gonna return in between line 6 and 9, line 6 and 8, our primary button. This is where you put your implementation of your component. Here we're using we're implementing this variant prop because of style system, and maybe we talked about that in another video. I don't know, but we're gonna talk about that in a future video for sure. So this is something that we implement, and then we expect that our button will have, if you show that button variant again, the file that we expect that that button will have those variables, that those styles that are defined here. Okay, so if we
and this I'm refactoring all of these things at the moment. So these are all going to a bunch of these are going to be defined in the actual style system theme. So yeah, just a heads up that this will most likely change, but this is for the moment.
So if you go to stories, is everything safe? So now we can go to the terminal and see if it's loaded correctly. No, it doesn't. So
I'll just try it, or
yeah, yarn storybook again. And for some reason,
oh, sorry,
buttons.
what have I done?
Yeah, no, it's we are not able to import the button. I don't know why. Let me check. Button source app components button. Can you go to your code and see?
Okay.
Stories source app components.
Am I not exporting? Don't I have to export anything here?
No.
Okay.
No, because Storybook will catch that and it will render that. But for some reason, I don't know why you're not getting. It's not getting the stories from here. It's not importing properly this button. So can I see that button.js file? Oh, okay. So here, can you remove line 6 and 8 because that was a test that we had before? And then if you go down,
sorry,
just to make sure that no, in that file. Export default button, yes. Okay. So if you save, it's safe. Can you go to terminal and see if it's everything working? Why can't resolve? No way.
Don't like it.
No, it doesn't like it. That's the problem that we had before, and now we have it again. Amazing. But so you know what? Let me check one thing. With a variant. Decorator, yes, I don't want that. Source, not stories. Config.js. Configure module. Okay. Can you just stop that storybook and do yarn? Just yarn. Yeah, maybe there's yarn nothing. Just yarn. Yarn without nothing. It will do yarn install.
Oh, right. Okay, I didn't know that.
So I don't know. Maybe for some reason Babel is not catching all the configs or whatever. I don't know. So now do yarn storybook. If it doesn't, then we can change to another branch. I have another branch prepared for this.
Always prepared.
Yeah.
Oh.
It doesn't work.
What?
App
No.
pack building. Yeah, it doesn't like this source app. Why? I don't know. But okay, so you stop that.
Okay.
So do a git stash.
Oh.
And now do git checkout feature / storybook - test. So aborting. Okay, remove that file. Can you go to the code? Remove that config file. Remove it. Yes, so now you can just do that again. Check out. The test.
Cool.
Okay, now you're there. So if you do, don't do that. If you do yarn storybook, hopefully it will work. Hopefully.
Don't like it. It really doesn't like it.
Why?
Because it's Friday. I don't know.
Maybe.
Give it up for the week.
Okay, you know what? Let's just change screens. I'm gonna share mine because for some reason I'm gonna put that in the description later. It's not working for him, but it's working for me. So I really hate when this happens. I really hate when this happens, but yeah, you know, live coding.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah, it happens. So if you go and see here, actually, I'm gonna show you whatever I have. I'm not using that. So I have my config. This is like more advanced stuff because I have in the decorator. That's what I wanted to explain later. Actually, I'm just gonna comment this. And let's see, I have my package JSON here. I have my storybook script that is the same thing as Paul has. And I have here app components button stories.js. That is the same thing as Paul has. So, and now is when it's not going to work for me either. So if I do cd workspace, LeanJS, UpMentoring back office, I can run yarn start and then storybook. I'm gonna take this out.
Drum roll, please.
There you go, and it's working. For some reason, it's working for me, not in your machine. God knows why. So yeah, so you see here that I have my button. Actually, I'm gonna I'm gonna run the code in another yarn start, so you can see one of the uses of our button, and you see that it's not like that. We are better designers than this. So let me just localhost 3000, and when this starts in development. Okay, so it's been running. So you see here that where we can see a primary button, Paul. Let me just look for it.
On the discount page on the dashboard, go to home.
So dashboard.
Oh no, perhaps not. Try create discount.
Create discount here.
It'll be at the bottom, yeah.
So here is actually, if I open this and I open React, we can see that this is our primary button. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it's this one. So we just need to make this button look like that instead of look like this. So what we need, what's missing? So you already saw this. We need to actually set our theme provider into our stories. in order to get access to those theme variables. And the variance is something that is set in the theme. So if you go to the theme, if this, let me, theme over here, you see that we have button here. So button is just getting from button variant. If we go to button variant, is the file that Paul showed before. So we have this primary style, secondary, ternary, so all those things. So we want to get access to those. That's why we need to create a decorator. It's just a component. So I'm just gonna remove whatever it wasn't before. So we have that, and without that, this is the plain code that we were using before. In order to add a decorator, because this is a simple decorator, we're just creating the component here. But if you have a complex decorator, you maybe want a theme provider, and also you're using Redux, and you want the client for Redux, and you're using Apollo provider, and you want something that is getting from Apollo, so you can have really nested here, and also the router. You want a React router to kick in here. So it's better if you create a separate component in a separate file, maybe here, or I would prefer to put it like we usually have a config folder here. I will create it here and import it over there. Because this is a simpler component, we're just importing everything here. So because we're rendering a component, we need React. Because we want to pass a theme, we're importing the theme, and also the theme provider that is coming from style components to pass all the theme values to our components. So this is our wrapper. You can name this however you want. You can do decorator, and then to add that decorator to your stories, you just need to call this function with your decorator component. So you see here that the only difference is that this decorator component is going to receive a function as a child. So you're calling that function here. So this is going to be changed to whatever you are adding here. So you see here is a function. This is the function that is going to render inside your config. So as you know, if you have a theme provider and you run and you add a component that is using those those values from the theme, it's going to get access to it right away. So that's how it's done. You can add a decorator with this. Add your component, create your component, and then add the decorator with the add decorator function. Pretty simple in this case. In this case, you can have as complex as you want, but this is the mechanism or the setup that you need to do. Okay. So with that being said, if we render again, voila, we see our primary button. Really, really amazing here. So let's just add another story. So we can just add here. You see that we have add. We can change those things, so we can add another one, and we can say secondary button. So here I need to pass a function that is going to return this guy, this component, but instead of primary, secondary. So you see here that I have now a secondary button here, right? So as you can see, stories of is going to be like a set of stories, and then every time you add a story, you will add one of those here. Okay, and as you see, I'm changing the props to every story that I'm creating. Actually, I can create another story that says secondary button. I don't know. With exclamation. This is something that we have in our code. So if I add exclamation over there, you see that I have another story, and then I have the component with the exclamation as we have it in our code base. So
don't worry, accessibility nerds. I know that we know that ratio, color ratio, is terrible. It's just a holding icon at the moment.
This is a work in progress, guys. So we are just showing what we are doing here. Yeah, this is essentially Storybook in a nutshell. There's a lot of things that you can do from it. Like you can define some add-ons, and this is one of the best things about Storybook, add-ons. So if we go here, add-on gallery, actually, I want to do intro to add-ons. So you see one of the add-ons is a decorator. You can add, as I told you, you can add a decorator to your stories. You can do it right away in your story, or even as I show you, you can just add it to all your stories here. So, and also native add-ons, you can add click events. There's accessibility ones, actions, links, and knobs is really cool because knobs is just for you can change the props of your component in a like a separate view like this. You can disable, enable the button from here. You can change the label of the button, and it's pretty cool. So this is just an example of how you can set up Storybook.
I'm going to check out those ones. They could have really. I mean, the 14-year-old inside me is wondering why they call it knobs, but you know, let's just skip over that.
Naming is one of the hardest things in front-end development. So
damn right, it's pretty crazy, and anybody who spends time organizing sketch files or Photoshop files will also understand that very much so. So
yeah. Also, one thing to add here. Storybook is an independent application from your current application. It doesn't live in your code base. The fact that you can import components from your application is just how modules in JavaScript works, but it's independent completely. Actually, you can deploy your Storybook UI as we did for LeanJS. Let me just show that also. Storybook.leanjs.com. So you see, if you go here, you see all the components that we're using in LeanJS. If I can type .com. So all the components that we're using here, this website is built with Gatsby and React. So all the components that are used here are here, and you see this is one of the add-ons that we have. You see, it's amazing. You can change the background of the story part, and you can see how they can see how they are visually the component see in that background. So yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, we've got. I mean, I think it's definitely an aim for us for 2019 is to kind of like standardize as much as possible. We've got as LeanJS is kind of growing, and React.js Academy in itself is also growing because just so everybody knows, React.js Academy is a kind of it's a child company of LeanJS. We all work together and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, as both those kind of organizations are growing, we're creating more things in websites and platforms and whatnot. So we're going to try and standardize as much as possible, which is why getting things like Storybook into play for all of our platforms is kind of like is part of that standardization process. So we should have an overarch, hopefully, you know, by the end of the year, hopefully we'll have a design system for all of our products that we that are used across all of our products that you would see on LeanJS or React.js Academy or the UpMentoring that we're doing right now. So yeah, that it's the kind of baby steps towards there that we're aiming at. So yeah, that's I think that's it. I mean, I've got some issues on my local version that me and Horacio will work out outside of this video, but I hope it was useful.
If you know the answer, please
Yes.
let us know in the comments. Please.
Yes, there are comments there for a reason, and I hope you haven't been bored and you've enjoyed it, and any comments are welcome. So yeah, check out leanjs.com on Instagram, Twitter, all that jazz. React.js Academy, same again on Twitter and whatnot. Yeah, that's it really. Get in touch, and thank you very much for watching.
Thank you guys for watching. Thanks.
Signing off.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.